And welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it very much. We are coast to coast and we are global. We do this 5 days a week, 2 hours a day. The show goes on air, round numbers, 9 to 11. And Eastern Daylight Savings Time, whatever they're doing with the time. I don't know. As I said the other day, I wish they would just, fix the clocks and leave them alone. Okay? Driving people crazy. Dr. Cass Ingram is my guest today. He was just in studio at the beginning of the week with Dr. Sally Bird. We had a good time with him and Dr. Bird. Dr. Ingram never disappoints. And I'm going to have him on today again. He's out on the road, man. He's working. He works. He could lay up. He's out there giving talks. He's working hard. He's out there doing it. Been doing this for decades. You gotta respect that. You gotta like that, right? He doesn't. No, man. He's doing it. 1918. We were in the grips. Was World War I started then, Stephen? Check my work. I know that in 1918, the influenza pandemic swept the globe and had a grip on people's lives. It was one of the deadliest outbreaks of influenza in recorded history. Some estimate as many as 50 million people died. We were in the grips of a world war. What did you find?
It began 1914, and then 1918 is the infamous Archduke Franz Ferdinand incident, which got us into
I don't recall that. I'm just kidding. It was, and life expectancy in that 4-year period was abysmal. That 4-year stretch, it was horrendous. And please take note, average life expectancy in the year 1900 was maybe 40 years of age, somewhere in there, depending on which statistics you look at from whom. It was about 39, 40, somewhere in there. That was it, man. I bring this up because to give some context to where we are now. We have been now on a decline in life expectancy in our country since about the mid-2010s. This started. And in 2018, the CDC came out with a report. And I believe it was the director of the CDC said, quote, "The latest CDC data show that U.S. life expectancy has declined over the past few years. Tragically, this troubling trend is largely driven by deaths from drug overdose and suicide." He continues, "Life expectancy gives us a snapshot of the nation's overall health, and these sobering statistics are a wake-up call that we are losing too many Americans too early and too often to conditions that are preventable." Close quote. That was Robert R. Redfield. He was, or could very well still be the director, I'm not sure, the director of the CDC. I believe he is. Next week, Dr. Sanjay Gupta is doing a documentary, A Nation Under Stress. In his opinion, this accounts for much of the variance in the decline of life expectancy. Now, when I tell you it's only dropping by 1/10 of a point here, 1/10 of a point there, you might say, that's no big deal. No, it is. That it is a big deal. You don't need big numbers to have a big effect here. The documentary by the way, this is a sidebar, opens up in Greensboro, Pennsylvania. I grew up in Pittsburgh. And he's interviewing a colleague of mine, Dr. Cyril Wecht. I've worked with Dr. Wecht. Dr. Wecht was the pathologist for the city of Pittsburgh, and then he became mayor of the city, and I worked with him on some cases. Cyril is a very good pathologist, and Dr. Gupta is talking to him about what's going on. The opening scene, Dr. Wecht is talking about the autopsies that he's performing, and he's saying that he's never seen so many. In fact, in the scene in Greensboro, which is a population of 14,000 and declining. I've been to Greensboro many times. He's looking over bodies of people who died well before their age. And Dr. Wecht noted to Dr. Gupta that more than half of the bodies he autopsies suffered from drug-related deaths. And Dr. Wecht said, quote, "It is a significant epidemic of monstrous proportions," close quote. Dr. Gupta, whom I have a lot of respect for, compartmentalizes this decline, and he's attributing it to stress. I don't disagree with him, but I think it's inextricably interconnected or connected to the obesity epidemic, the type 2 diabetes epidemic, and you have suicide rates going up, 30%? And cirrhosis of the liver from drinking alcohol is up. I don't know. I have to be careful with my numbers here. But that's up as well. People trying to blunt the effects of stress. I talked yesterday on the show. Hey, could you remove that arrow from my face? Thank you. I talked yesterday on the show about stress. And I've talked about stress a lot. And I'm going to talk about it a lot more. Because it is, when I say on air, and I choose my words carefully, that stress is a killer, I mean it. It is a killer. And its effects reach all the way down into kids in grade school. And what's going on there. It begins early in life and continues throughout life in this modern world in which we live. The target audience for this decline in life expectancy is middle income white people. That's where the biggest decline is. African Americans are doing better in life expectancy, but they still die, I think, 3 years sooner on average than Caucasians. This is a very serious and important issue. I will address it in greater detail and in greater depth when I have time when we come back, because I'm going to bring Dr. Ingram on. I wanted to introduce it, but this series begins next week, I think Monday evening maybe on CNN at 8 o'clock. I'm not sure of the time. Somebody can check me on it. Dr. Gupta is very good. He's a very measured guy. You know, to look at him, you'd think he was, a stiff shirt. Dr. Gupta is the guy that came out and said medical marijuana we need to legalize medical marijuana. Okay? So it gives you an idea that this guy's got a very open mind. Come back, we'll talk with another open mind, very provocative doctor, Ingram.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Got myself wrapped up in a cord here. Good thing it's not around my neck. Dr. Cass Ingram is my guest. Dr. Ingram is out on the road. He's been giving talks, working hard. He was in studio this past week. Boy, we had a lot of fun. If he lived closer, I would drag him in here. I'd go send a limo to go get him. We love having him. It was great. I enjoy having him here because I can count on him to give you his point of view about things, and it's straight up, no frills. It's just what it is. And I check his work. Technically, I was telling Gary, I told him I walked in. What'd I say?
You said that he was right on with everything he says.
Technically, when he talks about all the different mechanisms of action and these different compounds, I'm very familiar with the literature. He's right there. He doesn't make it up. And it's working from memory. He's always on point.
Yeah, he just was taking notes about the conversation. He didn't have a computer open.
No. His brain. Dr. Ingram, welcome back. How did you do in your talk up in Wesley Chapel?
Hello. Wesley Chapel was kind of funny because there were like 7 people there, but we were able to focus on one of your listeners came.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the chap that won the certificate.
Oh, good.
He wanted a little more detail than what he was able to get on the on show, and so we had time, and there were some interesting people that they've been sick for a long time.
I know.
This is a crazy one. We're nutritionally oriented doctorates. And so ethnobotany is good, but so is nutritional science. So the woman said, "I'm going blind, doctor."
Oh.
And I've got fibromyalgia, I've got inflammation, but they say I've got fibrosis in my eyes.
Oh.
And I looked at her and I said, "Well, you don't really have fibrosis. You have a vitamin A deficiency."
Mm.
She had follicular hyperkeratosis.
Oh.
She had the worst case of it on the back of the arm, on the triceps.
Yes, yeah.
Her skin was dry on her hands, and I said, this vitamin A is very important for vision. I have night blindness. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because you have to have the vitamin to get to produce visual purple.
Absolutely. I've seen you in front of big audiences, whether it's 770 or 700. You always deliver. You're like the pizza man. You always deliver. So I know that.
Well, and this is a fascinating thing because she got a medical stamp, a medical diagnosis. She got a disease. This is what you have, and it's irreversible, and you're down for the count.
Oh my!
And they missed the vitamin A deficiency. Which
well,
kind of like a malpractice in a sense. Because had that been caught a year ago when she first went, then you have to give that nutrient to stop the fibrotic changes in the back of the eye.
Yeah.
So I told her at least, at the minimum, you have to get the polar power, something maybe your team hasn't tried yet. Get that fatty salmon oil, which is made from the eyes and brain of the wild salmon.
Mm-hmm.
Pound that down. Take a tablespoon twice a day. If you're going to do capsules, take 6-8 capsules 2-3 times a day. Pound, take. Let's see if we can reverse that. So it'll be interesting to follow her.
Yeah.
And see if the medical diagnosis was so askew that it could have led to further pathology.
Well, Dr. Ingram, it is about point of view, frame of reference. Physicians are trained in a certain way. If you're an allopath, you've been trained in a certain tradition. Osteopath, a certain tradition. Naturopath, in a certain tradition. And it shapes what you see. It shapes your perception of things.
But that's classical medicine, my friend.
I understand.
And you have to, we are obligated to make an assessment on the patient. It's our job. They come to us, they pay us, or they pay the insurer, whatever, to at least make an accurate assessment of the condition.
But that's my point. My point is they're looking for one thing or they're trained to look for certain things and they ignore others in their assessment. It's not a comprehensive assessment. And nutritionally speaking, you can run, and they won't. The doctors won't write the script. They're not. Let me back it up. Some doctors are very reluctant to write a script for a nutritional profile or a nutritional assessment. Now,
Why?
Beats the devil out of me. You have to go to an anti-aging doctor or to some doctor. In order to get that done, in my training, and it still continues, nutritional assessment is elegant, it can be complicated, and it's meritorious. This poor soul is thinking she's going to go blind and believes that it's a fait accompli, that it's the done deal, and she's going to lose her sight. She's got a vitamin A deficiency. Bugs Bunny doesn't even have a vitamin A deficiency because he's eating carrots, for heaven's sake. It's not right. It drives me crazy. I didn't go to traditional medical school like you. I'm just a mere PhD trying to get along. But I'm smart enough to know that, we all have biases, Dr. Ingram. You have them. I have them. I get that. But you can't let your biases get in the way, especially when you're a physician, such as yourself, in treating a patient. And you looked at all the signs. You looked at her external body. You didn't need an x-ray. You didn't need, I'm sure you looked at her tongue. I'll bet you did. You looked at her nails. You looked into her eyes, didn't you?
First of all, listening to the symptoms, and
I'll pick you up in a minute. Be right back. Don't. Dr. Ingram, welcome back. Where are you today? Where are you today, Doctor?
I'm going to Ada's down in Fort Myers.
Oh, yeah.
Down there about 5 o'clock seminar.
Good for you.
And then from there I go to Tooney's. I think they're in Coral Springs, but
Coral Springs.
Tooney's,
yes.
Yeah. So they're a Saturday 5 o'clock. So 2 5 o'clockers, Friday and Saturday, and then back to Chicago. And I was going to give a shout out to the mom and pa's. There aren't too many mom and pa's left, independent retailers.
Mm-hmm.
So people who are looking for my work, some of my books, and some of these extracts we're talking about, you could go to the Big Bad Chuck down in Brandon. He's got 2 stores.
Yep.
Chuck's Nutrition, whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And then Abby's on Del Mabry. That's a big store in a mall down there.
Yep.
Their team is very familiar with my work with the wild oregano, the wild turmeric extract, your Canna-Kierman, and so on. And just a couple of notes. Of course, the nutrition smart people know of what we do. So my point is, and you have vitamin discount centers, that if we can, when we hear about these things, we should try to shop local. And there are times when I know that's difficult, so I'll give a web link out. But we need to try our best, I believe. I spend a lot of money in health food stores. I like to go in and buy a whole bunch of food and different things and say, here's the money, here's some support. We're losing the small stores very rapidly in the health food industry.
That's true.
So, try to have a consciousness. Now, those who need to know more, I was going to mention that the little lady with the fibromyalgia she needs the vitamin A for that, so she needs that polar power. But I also recommended the wild turmeric extract in the golden milk.
Yes, from North American Herb and Spice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a link that you can study this at, and that's the same link for the NBC TV show that's going to air in a few minutes. So that's the I think it's CazIngram.com/NBC.
Yeah, they interviewed you?
Right. I went down there in between talking to you and 5 other, stores, what have you, and I went down to daytime on NBC.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had this big guy, really big. I mean, he must be 6'5", who interviewed me. He's a wrestler, but I'm a wrestler. I was a wrestler in college. He's a wrestler on TV. I don't know. And so Big Daddy, I said, hey, big guy, you must be full of inflammation. And so he drank that turmeric milk, and can I have more of that? And he took the pills and so forth, and I want more and more and more.
Yeah.
So he must have been loaded,
That's good. Well, no, listen, you're out there in the trench trying to help people, and I'm glad you're on our show because it's a big platform. It gives you access to a lot of people all at once, and that's a good thing. North American Herb and Spice. You hear Dr. Ingram mentioning Polar Power and the turmeric milk and this and that. Those are North American Herb and Spice products. Go to NorthAmericanHerbandSpice.com.
Or if they want a bunch of information, they can go to CazIngram.com/NBC. And I sent you some kind of a link for you. It may be that link or another link. It's basically a triple spice formula.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was recommending is not just turmeric, ginger, which are both in the Zinzerbaceae family. They're both rhizomes from Ceylon or India, and they're both COX-2 blockade.
Mm-hmm. The translation is it'll reduce inflammation, is what Dr. Ingram is telling you.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
That's superior to turmeric.
So I noticed you when you came into studio, you had many of these products with you. You take your own supply.
Right. I took and made the turmeric golden milk,
which was good, by the way,
to everybody.
Which was good. Tastes good.
And then you all didn't get a chance, but we had that drops, the wild raw turmeric drops.
I didn't see that.
2 kinds. One is the Canna-Kierman, which obviously is curcumin plus the cannabis. But for the cops and the nurses, there's also, or anybody else, there's the turmeric power plus. So there's only 2 kinds. Obviously, the cop or the nurse formula is less the cannabis, and that's for people who just want the turmeric experience, or they might be drug tested, what have you. And they're both very effective. case history. I had a fibromyalgia lady at another lecture. I'm sick and I'm in pain. I'm taking the supplements. I'm in pain. She had significant inflammation, but I said, stick out your tongue. You've got fungus myalgia.
Mm.
You know, it means she had candida, right?
Mm.
So I told her, get on the oregano, but get on the turmeric extract as well. So block the inflammation, shut it down. So she took a capsule. She took a capsule of the anti-inflammatory, natural anti-inflammatory. She starts bouncing around saying, Doc, I can move better. See me 15 minutes later. I'm going, okay. You know.
I know.
You do look better.
The people are looking for answers, Dr. Ingram. They don't know which way to turn.
Well, they got to go with what I've been saying. The wild, unprocessed extract produces results. I'm not sure if they're spending $60 a day or $60 a unit for a highly processed product that's isolated with tremendous quantities of solvents. I'm not sure I would even take that.
Well, you know, these people, there's so many people that just don't know. They don't know. It's not their fault. They don't know.
Right. That's why I created the landing page, so at least you can go and study. And I have the article about move over turmeric, triple spice therapy, something like that, for inflammation. And I have the data. If you go to the link, if your guy Gary the man can go, the article is there where I demonstrate the facts of what is Ayurvedic true turmeric or golden milk.
Mm-hmm.
It's an anti-inflammatory that increases the flexibility and improves your motion and the secret seems to be to take it on a regular basis.
Of course. Yeah, 877-897-8255, 877-897-TALK. Probiotics, don't you feel that probiotics from a general all-purpose perspective is every day?
Yes, but most of them aren't any good. Most of them are really, I've got 5 billion. No, I got 20. I've got 100. Mine has 200. And it has to be based on the ability of the probiotic to implant people. If you're going to buy a probiotic in the future, find one which has undergone rigorous scientific studies, where the implantation has been demonstrated and where the probiotic bacillus actually live in the gut and stay there. They don't just pass through and you keep taking billions and they can't lock in.
Right. Come back. We have one more segment with Dr. Cass Ingram. You are listening and watching Let's Talk Nutrition, coast to coast and globally. Be right back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Dr. Cass Ingram is my guest, and Dr. Ingram, welcome back. Let me ask you this. The word inflammation, it comes up over and over and over again. And people think, well, the only time I get inflammation is when they have an injury that they experience. They fall or they get cut or something like that, or they get an infection and they know there's inflammation. But there is also inflammation that they can't see happening inside of them. The systemic low ember, sometimes burning inflammation. Can you talk a little bit about that and its downstream consequences?
The pathology, so your carcinoma or your precancer, your syndrome X or your prediabetes or your active diabetes, your coronary artery disease, your lupus, your scleroderma, your Hashimoto's, your so-called autoimmune thyroid conditions. These are all associated with pretty toxic biological action where you have the tumor necrosis alpha, you have the various cytokines and interleukins, and you've got these substances. And you have some swelling, you have some irritations, some local phenomena. And it's not a good idea to have excessive, because then it can lead to a tumor. It can lead to enough inflammation that there are changes in the coronary arteries, making you more vulnerable to getting a clot and throwing a stroke. So it's a good idea. The Ayurvedics knew it, right?
Yeah.
It's a good idea to clean that out. They said that a good stout turmeric golden milk gives you nice flexibility and bounce to your step. And every day the monster, the grim reaper of inflammation, the monster's pulling us down. I crave making that infusion that I made over there, where I take the Terma milk. Now it's renamed Golden Latte. It's the new one coming up. Same stuff. I actually add the ashwagandha milk. I like adding that in it, the ashwa milk. And then I put the almond milk with the yacon or the honey, whatever, or if you want it straight without any sweetener. And then I just, it gives me bounce to my step. And then I've noticed, being a former victim of Lyme, that taking the canacurmin, for instance, or the turmeric drops under the tongue throws it up another level, and I have even more bounce or more vigor. And, look at all the people I saw here in Florida. They're suppressed because of the pain and inflammation. So this is one tool. However, remember what I said when I looked at the lady and I said, you have fungusitis, not just fibromyalgia or not just arthritis, but fungusitis.
Yeah. Well, but let me see if I can even put a more global perspective on it. As I mentioned, Dr. Gupta, that series will be on HBO. I said CNN, but it's on HBO. It starts Monday. One Nation Under Stress. I agree with him.
One Nation Under Inflammation.
Well, that's where I'm headed. I think stress and inflammation can be said in the same sentence all the time. Chronic stress is an inflammatory disorder too, isn't it?
Well, it is, because it depletes the cortisol systematically, and your glucocorticoids and your cortisone, your DHEA become completely in disarray. Your thyroid responds. But is the chronic stress because of the sugar and the fungus and the GMOs that are poisonous and pro-inflammatory? You should say One Nation Under GMOs. I mean, there's a lot more to it than just I'm stressed out. But yes, if you add the psychic stress equation, it just facilitates the entire thing. Now, I was going to add that when you have the fungusitis, take the turmeric extract, take the golden milk, but also you got to use the oregano to kind of clean that fungus out, and then back it up with the health pack. Back it up with the probiotic that actually implants. Case history. I had a woman with oral thrush. We gave her the probiotic and just said, just melt it in your mouth. you could tell a visible change in the fungal overload by the probiotic working on that area just by putting it there for, it took a while, week. So if you've got a biologically active probiotic, it acts almost like an antibiotic. Don't forget, good quality bifidus and lactobacillus make acidophilin. They make their own antiseptic.
Yeah.
To drive away the bacteria.
877-897-8255 will put you in touch with Dr. Cass Ingram. There are a number of articles written about this correlation or this relationship between stress and inflammation. This one article by 3 researchers, Lu, Wang, and Jiang.
Yes, that's fantastic work.
They talk about inflammation being the common pathway of stress-related diseases.
Yes, there you go.
And, I always said that if you can manage the inflammation throughout the lifespan, keeping it moderated or out of play, you increase your chances of living a longer life with quality of life.
Well, they know that the turmeric consumers don't get Alzheimer's. My God, they're just taking curry 3 times a month, and there's a 1,000% reduction in incidence of dementia and Alzheimer's. We really need to take a serious look at this, the turmerones, the curcumins, the various resins, that this is the number 1 Ayurvedic medicine. So we're taking all these remote, oddball things. If we're not taking a quality turmeric, now, let me tell you something. You think you're taking turmeric, and you're taking an isolate. They never took an isolate.
Right.
They took the full spectrum, the root or the full powder. But you can get the full spectrum in certain supplements. But
what I want to mention is that all those products that Dr. Ingram mentioned are from North American Herb and Spice. Just run down that list again. Just give the names.
You need the golden latte / turmeric milk. Add Indian ginseng to that if you can, the ashwa milk, 2 different mechanisms. And then for the general public that doesn't get drug tested, I usually recommend the canna curcumin, which is the raw turmeric resin with the raw hemp. But for people like police and people who have to be more careful, then the turmeric power plus. They're basically the same.
Okay.
Well, good. One has a little cannabis in it.
Good luck to you now in your talks. I know you'll do well. You always do.
Yes, I'm doing the Adas tonight, and then Toonies tomorrow, and the books are there.
All right.
If you want to study the turmeric, the Golden Root Miracle.
There you go. Dr. Ingram, thank you so much for your commitment, your passion, and your desire to help others. We're all grateful. Thank you so much. But thanks for tuning in. Glad you could. We're glad to be here with you, as always. New guest, right? New guest?
Yeah.
Brittini Gehring. I don't recall Ms. Gehring being on the show, do you?
No?
Were we asleep, Stephen, and we interviewed Ms. Gehring and we don't remember? We're not asleep. Please stop it. Hope you're having a good day wherever you may be listening or watching the show and whatever you may be doing. No sleeping at the switch. We'll bring Ms. Gehring on here in a moment. I was making reference in the first hour to a documentary that will be airing on HBO come Monday. I believe it's 8 o'clock. They can check my work. But it's on HBO. It's called One Nation Under Stress. Dr. Sanjay Gupta will host it. He's very good. He apparently they open up that documentary in a town in Pennsylvania called Greensboro. I grew up in Pittsburgh. Greensboro is not all that far. I've been to Greensboro many times. It's a dwindling community. And he interviews Dr. Cyril Wecht. I happen to know Dr. Wecht very well. I worked with Dr. Wecht. And Dr. Wecht turns out to be a forensic pathologist. And he was the forensic pathologist for the city of Pittsburgh. It may still be for all I know. But I know he was mayor, too. He's probably back at it again. And he talks with Dr. Gupta about the autopsies he's performing these days. And he apparently, in the opening of the series, that he's looking over bodies of people who died long before they should. And Dr. Wecht noted that more than half of the bodies that he was looking at suffered from drug-related deaths. And he said, quote, "It is a significant epidemic of monstrous proportions," close quote. What are they trying to get at? Apparently, Dr. Gupta believes, I don't tend to disagree, that this epidemic of stress is causing people to drink more alcohol. Cirrhosis of the liver is up. It's off the chain. They're dying. Suicide rates are up and off the chain. And there's just two consequences of the stress that people are experiencing. I talk about stress on this show, and I have for 14 years, pretty consistently. I've been on it. It's even becoming more relevant. I'm anxious to see the series. I'm anxious to see what Dr. Gupta has to say. I don't know if he may. I see the you can call it a stress epidemic if you want. I might be inclined to do that. It's interconnected to other variables, in my belief. It's my belief. I don't know if he compartmentalizes it or not, and to what extent. But I don't know how you can talk about this stress epidemic and not talk about the obesity epidemic, type 2 diabetes epidemic. Heart disease, by the way, is down, but other chronic diseases are up. And stress is a killer. The opioid epidemic is connected to it. The number of people, the statistics are, to say they're stunning is an understatement. Since 1999, the number of drug overdose deaths has more than quadrupled. Think about that. Deaths attributed to opioids were nearly 6 times greater. 6 times greater in the year 2017 than they were back in 1999, which wasn't all that long ago, for heaven's sake. Overall, Americans, and what's the point here? The point is that life expectancy is dropping. And there's a consistent pattern. It started somewhere around 2010, somewhere in there. These people that track these kinds of numbers notice this, the demographers and others. And it's been on a decline, not by years, but by tenths. You say, well, that's nothing to get all in a twist about. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. Overall, Americans could expect to live 78.6 years if they were born in the year 2017. That's down 1/10 of a year from 2016. In that world, that's a big number. A tenth is a big number. Men could anticipate a lifespan of 76.1 years. That's down 1/10 from the year before. And life expectancy for women in 2017 was 81.1 years. They always live longer. Unchanged from the previous year. The group of people that are really affected by this are middle-class middle-class Caucasians. They're taking the biggest hit. This hasn't happened in 100 years. Back in 1900, World War I started in 1914. And then in 1918, from 1915 through 1918, you had World War I going on, and you had the flu pandemic. Almost 700,000 people died in the United States from that. They called it the Spanish flu. And some say nearly 50 million worldwide. And that in that period of time, life expectancy dropped like a rock. You expect that. But since that time, we have enjoyed an increase in life expectancy. In the year 1900, life expectancy was somewhere around 39, 40, mid-40s, maybe at most. I'm serious. Some people were just starting their career in their 40s, given all the education and training they have to go through. People were dying. And we've enjoyed this increase. Now, certain disease, improved sanitation, better medical care, better. The list is long as to why, not long, but there are variables that account for why we're living longer. I can tell you, people are not living longer because they're living better in terms of being healthy. We got more obese people now on the planet and in the United States than we have collective sense. 68, we're pushing up against 70% of the population being overweight or obese. It's crazy. And where does this is not just beginning late in life. This is starting in childhood. We're growing children, raising children with adult diseases, for heaven's sake. So, and what would be the trend? What would you predict? Forecasting models, you can use them, but I'm trying to use my common sense. What this is telling me that we can expect to see further drops in life expectancy because we're raising kids that are going to become adults, and they're already sick by the time they're 20. They are a mess. They haven't even reached midlife yet. And they have beginnings of heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, orthopedic issues, respiratory issues, psycho-emotional issues. That's about 27% of kids overweight or obese, suffering from type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome. What are we doing? Somebody's got to tell you. Come back. We'll talk with Miss Brittini. We're at the end of the week. We're here 5 days a week, by the way, live, Eastern Daylight Savings Time, 9 to 11. Catch us. Gary will tell you how.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK. Dr. Garko's personal email is drgarko at letstalknutrition.com. Follow us, like us, and share us on Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition, on the Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Let's Talk Nutrition on YouTube, where we have over 1,100 videos, 62,000 views now. So subscribe to that, and you'll get live alerts when we come on.
Brittini Gehring is our guest today, educator for Ridgecrest Herbals, new guest on the show. At least my memory tells me. Brittini, welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. You've never been on the show before, have you?
No, Dr. Garko, I haven't. And trust me, no one will be sleeping when I'm on your show. I laugh way too much, and it keeps people awake.
Well, we like that. We like that a lot. How is everything at Ridgecrest Herbals these days?
Ridgecrest is always busy and always changing, and we have great people there. We produce an almanac that helps people to better understand how our company runs and get to know us a little better. And I've been with Ridgecrest for over 10 years now.
Oh.
I absolutely love the company. So they're doing great on my account.
10 years you've been there.
I have.
What have you seen in terms of, what, in a word, what's the mission of Ridgecrest? What's its mission?
You know, Ridgecrest, we are an eclectic company, and so in the past we have been focused on scouring the world to find the most effective herbs and to bring those to individuals to help support health and wellness. And we are just overall transparency and just wanting the best for our customers. And we're open. You can call us at any time, ask us any questions.
I know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and you mentioned herbs. Maybe people think that this is a new idea, but herbs have been in cultures for thousands and thousands of years. People figured out they found the miracles, the miracle chemicals of the compounds in these herbs. They didn't have the microscopes in the labs to do the analysis. All they did was take it, and they knew that something was good happened when they took certain herbs. They figured it out. And Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, all these ancient medical paradigms throughout the world. And it's astonishing, isn't it, how the plants contribute to our health, isn't it? It's just remarkable.
Absolutely. As an herbalist, that's our main focus, is to focus on the body and its ability to care for itself. And we focus on giving the body what it needs, and that is nature's ingredients. And so these herbs work with the body in a way that nothing else can in maintaining health.
It's true. And they, in and of themselves, don't cure anything, but they set the conditions for the body to do that, right? Is that how the way to look at it?
Absolutely. That's a great way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Our bodies are amazing, left to their own resources, coupled with the power of nature.
Have you ever had a condition whereby you then took some of your own product and there was improvement?
So, my theory is to take what the body needs. So I'm not one of those people that takes something on an ongoing basis. And overall, I have been extremely healthy. However, I could share an experience. My mother, she had a thyroid condition in which the doctor wanted to remove her thyroid completely.
Oof.
And the thyroid plays an important part of the endocrine system.
Oh, yeah.
And so we chose to only have half of that removed. And so we have a product specifically called Thyroid Thrive. And if I'm being honest, that formula was created with full heart and intentions to help my mom and to help others. And so a lot of love went into that product. And she was able to take that product and visit with her physician months after the surgery. And she's kind of naughty, and she didn't take any of the medications that he gave her.
Oh.
And he tested her thyroid levels and said everything looks incredible. And and she didn't tell him that she was taking something natural.
She did
to help support her body. And so she just walked out of that office with a smile on her face, and the doctor said, "Keep doing what you're doing," and so she has.
Mm-hmm.
And that was I want to say about 8 years ago.
That's called Thyroid Thrive, right?
Yes.
I see that here.
Exactly.
I'm at your website at rcherbals.com. Visit that website. You have all your products are herbally formulated, yes?
They are. And, we saw the industry kind of go in a direction where everything was becoming an extract. And it's our belief that using there's benefits in using the entire plant instead of just extracts and not changing what nature's created. And so we do have some vitamins and nutrients in some of our products.
Mm-hmm.
In this product particularly, there is some vitamins and nutrients, but overall they're mostly botanical.
Okay. 877-897-8255. Brittini Gehring is the guest today, new guest on Let's Talk Nutrition with Crest Herbals. Great company. We'll tell you more.
Don't be stressed out or anxious. Take Hempanol, the only raw CO2 hemp.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Brittini Gehring is my guest. Brittini, I know you came with some things on your mind, but I have to ask you, you heard me comment about stress. Dr. Gupta from CNN, he's the chief medical correspondent or officer for CNN, is going to be doing a series on One Nation Under Stress. It starts on Monday on HBO. Do you have anything in your repertoire of products that would address the stress issue, matters related to stress, health issues related to stress?
Well, like you mentioned previously, and you were talking with Dr. Ingram about inflammation as well. In my opinion, stress is a major factor in all conditions that affect the body, especially in today's world. And we do have a handful of products that address that.
Don't you have an anxiety product?
We do. We have an anxiety product to help fight that stress. We have an adrenal product, our thyroid product. They all have adaptogenic herbs in them that help the body to be able to cope with stress.
Right, and what Brittany's getting at, you have the hypothalamic, pituitary, HPA, adrenal axis. You got the thyroid glands implicated, the adrenal glands implicated under this with the fight or flight response, the stress response, and you suffer from adrenal fatigue, and the thyroid takes a hit, and so on. Yes,
you're describing the endocrine system, and call me weird, but I think the endocrine glands are so cute. They're all shaped so fun. And the thyroid, pituitary hypothalamus axis, it starts with the hypothalamus, which is a little gland at the base of the brain. And what it does is it sends a message down to the pituitary gland that says, hey, we're running out of thyroid hormones. And so the pituitary gland panics, and it sends a little message down to the thyroid, which is a little butterfly-shaped gland that sits at the base of your throat. And the thyroid gland, it produces a hormone that affects every cell, tissue, organ in the body. And so the pituitary gland sends a message down to the thyroid to start producing that T4 and a little bit of T3. And the thyroid yells back up, hey, guys, I've got this. And it starts to produce those hormones. And those hormones are responsible for our metabolism and for a lot of the balances within our body.
Yeah. And you hit upon something there, the balance, the homeostasis. The body is constantly trying to maintain homeostasis among all these organ systems. They're all interdependently connected. When one's out of change in any one of those systems, it causes changes throughout all the systems in some form or fashion. So these products from Ridgecrest Herbals are designed, it sounds to me, in many ways, to try to get the body back into some balanced state.
Exactly. We use a lot of traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic, and those are all designed to help the body to get back into homeostasis.
So what did you have on your mind? Did you have something on your mind specifically that you wanted to bring up today?
So the thyroid, specifically, I was hoping to be able to discuss the thyroid a little bit, which we have, and the endocrine system. And you tied that in with stress because the endocrine system is largely affected by stress and can definitely throw your body out of balance. So, like you said, we do have a few products that help support the body, and specifically Thyroid Thrive. First and foremost, it's designed to nourish and strengthen, support, protect, and maintain an already healthy thyroid. So it's got nutrients and antioxidants such as vitamin C and selenium. And specifically with the thyroid, in a study published in the BMC Endocrine Disorders Journal, it found that all subjects with low thyroid function were also deficient in selenium, zinc, and vitamin C. So we have a couple of those in there to act as supports for the thyroid. Thyroid also has cleansing effects. It's got some burdock root and some blue flag. And then it addresses that crucial relationship between the thyroid and the hypothalamus and the pituitary and adrenal and other organs to help support that entire endocrine system, and including ashwagandha and suma root, as well as coleus. Coleus. Go ahead.
No, finish your thought. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay, so these products, people think, oh, you just put these herbs together, but these herbs these products are formulated with herbs that they're adaptogens, and these are complicated compounds, and they have to work together. So you got to know what you're doing when you're putting these formulations together, because you don't want to blow up the lab, right?
Nope.
It's chemistry.
Well, you don't know me very well. I'm capable of doing that.
Me too. But yeah, chemistry. It's all about the chemistry in many ways in the formulation, and you have to have herbalists and chemists to know what they're doing when these products are formulated, so that you create the best effect without any side effects. That's the trick. And so that takes time. I mean, this isn't just pills in a bottle. These are ideas. These are ideas related to chemistry to try and get the body back into to address the condition. If you're under a lot of stress, believe you me, and if it's chronic, day in, day out, intense, there's no escaping the effects. Your adrenal glands are going to they're going to get fatigued. Your thyroid's going to take a hit. You feel drawn. You feel run down. You don't look good. You don't feel good. It's a function it takes a lot of energy to mount that stress response. And body doesn't like those stress hormones coursing through the bloodstream all day long. Adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol, the culprit of them all. You always at the scene of the crime when under stress, and we could go on forever about cortisol. So these products from Ridgecrest Herbals are designed to address generally those kinds of conditions to get yourself back into a good state and nourish these organs. Come back, we'll tell you more, and have Brittini share with you some other ideas from Ridgecrest Herbals, and we'll have the LTN health question of the day. Back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Here's the LTN health question of the day. So, in the year 1900, 1 in 40 Americans died annually. Think about that for a second. Out of every 40 people, 1 would die. That didn't make average life expectancy very high. As time went on, for a variety of reasons, including there's a number of variables here that we want to look at. You had an improvement in public health measures. You had improved nutrition. You had new medical technologies, which was dramatically reducing deaths. You had sanitation measures, such as the introduction of water filtration and chlorination systems in the major cities that was contributing to life expectancy. You had an increased resistance to infectious diseases from better nutrition. And then, of course, with the development of antibiotics, the rate of improvement accelerated significantly. Death rate from infections fell by 90% from 1900 to 1950 due to antibiotics. So here's the question. By the year 2013, from 1900 to 2013, how much did the average life expectancy increase? Did it increase by 3%, 13%, or 30%? What do you think? Here's the number to call.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK.
It wasn't, I misspoke, not percent, but years. In years, from 1900 to 2013, life expectancy increased by what? 3 years, 13 years, or 30 years? That's easy. Brittini, welcome back. So, in taking these products, like talking about stress, you mentioned several products. Mm-hmm. Can you take them together in some sort of routine? Some in combination, or what? How would you go about doing it?
So, first, before I answer that question, I just want to point out that Ridgecrest has a unique way that they formulate their product. And what we do, and we do this to avoid any side effects that might occur, which can occur with herbs. Everybody's different, and everybody has a different lifestyle and different issues that they're dealing with. But the way that we formulate is we will take herbs that have similar effects on the body, and we will use small amounts of those herbs, but those herbs are designed to do the same thing. So we have multiple adaptogenics in our products, and by reducing the amounts, we are reducing the possibilities for individuals to have side effects. So during the 10 years that I've been there, our complaint levels are pretty low, and as far as side effects, and that's the reason behind that. So these herbs are put together in a way that they'll work synergistically within the body at low doses to just give the body that extra support that it needs.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned the products, would there be 2 or 3 that you could put together and say, okay, let me give you a hypothetical. You have a person, let's say, working mom, some professional, a police officer, firefighter, somebody, a surgeon, somebody who's under a lot of stress, somebody with financial issues, relationship issues, and they're going through a bad patch, and they're under a lot of stress day in and day out. It's chronic. Would there be some protocol of these products that would be good for that?
Absolutely. Ideally, it would for somebody that was under stress, it would be good for them to take a dosage at least 2 or 3 times a day to help support the body throughout the entire day. We have a lot of customers that also will take it just when they are experiencing those high level of stress, because depending on the time of the day or what's going on, those stress levels might increase, and so taking the products at that time is also very helpful.
Yeah. What would be a combination of products that would seem to work synergistically together?
So a couple of my favorite products that I like to use together are our anxiety-free product, which helps the body cope with stress and anxiety, and additionally our Physiqual product. You talked a lot with Dr. Ingram about inflammation, and this particular product has some of the herbs that he mentioned, and it helps to reduce that inflammation. And inflammation is a result of stress and the things that we put our bodies through mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And so those products work excellent together to help support the body.
Couldn't you take the products that are designed to support the thyroid gland and the adrenals? Wouldn't that be good to take as well in combination with together?
Those would be excellent. Additionally, the anxiety and the adrenal formulas are sister products, so they have a lot of the same ingredients.
Oh, I see.
And all of the ingredients in the anxiety and adrenal products will also help to support the thyroid.
I see. Visit rcherbals.com, and you got to figure it out. You got to try different things when you're coping with a chronic stress situation where it's unrelenting. The stressor doesn't go away. And so you're trying to nourish the body and those organs so that they can keep sustained and do what they're supposed to do. In the meantime, trying to resolve the problem and getting your mind and your mind in a better place as well. Trying to breathe deeply, practice relaxation techniques, exercise, eat well, sleep well if you can, plus taking the herbs from rcherbals.com. Visit it. Why? Because your health is your wealth. I'll see you on Monday.
Everyone's rave